fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
How to get an amazing night's sleep. How to actually fall asleep in 10 minutes or less every single night. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back here for Unchurched. And you might be wondering, all right, why is Joe talking about sleeping tips for Unchurched? Well, here's why. It's pretty simple. I believe God wants you to be the absolute best version of yourself. I believe God wants you to have energy. I believe God wants you to feel amazing so that you can give your best. And it is so tough to feel amazing. It's so tough to have energy. It's so tough to bring the A game, if you will, if you are absolutely tired. It's like defeating. And recently this hit me because I am at probably my peak sleep, and I'm just going to knock on wood and keep praying that happens, that I don't get attacked by Satan or something for coming out here and being helpful. But I right now, no lie, I am falling asleep faster than ever before, and have been for quite a few years, to the point it almost perturbs my wife because, you know, she's sitting there trying to wind down and I'm already like snoring in 3 minutes sometimes. It's that fast. And it wasn't always that way. You know, I remember my very first job, it was in the financial services, and it was very intense and a lot of talking on the phone and very high pressure. I mean, I had basically no salary. It was just all commission. It was eat what you kill and just go. And every month was a new month, and you start over from scratch in terms of, you know, basically you were hero to zero at the beginning of every month. And it was so stressful, and I really struggled with sleep. And I also played on a softball team, a men's softball team there. And I would end up, you know, pounding Red Bulls and stuff, you know, before playing. And we obviously played at nighttime, like, you know, after work. And I remember sitting in bed, like replaying the game. These were real competitive games. I just like to win in general, about, you know, mistakes I made or what I could have done differently here during that play. And like, I remember like 2, 3, and 4 in the morning sometimes, like I got no sleep. And the next day I'd just be dragging. And then guess what? I'm like pounding more coffee and pounding more Red Bulls and 5-hour energies. And it was just ongoing cycle. And here's the good news. The good news is you can do this. You can actually master this. And now there's some of you that might have a complete, like, legit sleep disorder, like sleep apnea. That's a whole different ballgame. But that's a very, very small amount of people that truly do have that. The rest of us just don't know how to sleep. And so I remember Ron Carson, who's someone I talked about in my book, Fishing for Happiness. He was the one that I went all the way to Boston. I literally flew to Boston to hear this guy speak. He's like one of the most successful financial advisors, like manages $1 trillion or something crazy. No, it's not trillion, it's billions though. And I went to get all these tactics and, you know, wanted to get some sales ideas. And one of the first things he talks about was death. And he says, I want you guys to write your own eulogy. What are people going to say about you when you die? And that's a whole nother topic, you know, for the podcast. But the second thing he started talking about was sleep. And he's like, guys, I can't do what I'm doing. I can't be at my peak unless I get sleep. So he actually went and hired a specialist. That specialist wrote a book. I read the book. I'm just going to tell you what the book is. Because I don't remember the name of it. I'm going to tell you everything that I learned in the book and stuff that I had not been doing. And this was the game-changing stuff. And let's just talk about like why this is going to be game-changing. Some of the stuff you're going to be like, oh gosh, I don't really want to do that, even though it's pretty simple. I mean, you spend 1/3 of your life in bed. 1/3 of your life is in bed, and unless you know you happen to be a truck driver, that you might be the only people that spend more time in your car or your vehicle than a bed. But for most of us, it's the number one place that we're spending the majority of our time, in a bed. And it really is. It's going to make or break that next day. We all know that. And so what this doctor had talked about in the book was, number one, to basically black out your room. And he gave the analogy, if you've ever been in a hotel, think about like a nice, luxurious hotel, not like Motel 8. But when you go to a really nice hotel, what's one thing they always usually have is those blackout curtains, right? I'm talking about like, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton. You got a super comfortable bed. You got lots of pillows. and you have a blacked out room. I'm talking about the curtains are super thick. It is like legit blacked out. It is so dark in there. And yet we wonder why we sleep so well in hotel rooms. And it's all of these things. They're cold because we usually crank the AC down in those things, right? It's super cold. You get it just where you want it because it's not that much, room to manage in terms of getting the temperature, the perfect temp. It's super, super dark. There's like in some areas, no light at all and tons of pillows and a super comfortable bed. And that's like, if you just get those things right, you're 90% there. And the rest, the 10% I'm going to talk about is more in the head. But that's in terms of designing your bedroom. And so I used to have this it was like literally a bright red alarm clock. If you've ever seen those things, it's a normal just table, a table clock, a little small clock that you put on your table. And it had like bright red font. And it lit up the entire room. And so guess what? I ripped that thing out of the wall and threw it away. I've got super, super dark curtains. And I started blacking out my room. And I'm telling you, like, not overnight, like not the next night, but certainly in those first 2 weeks, I noticed a massive difference on how much better I was feeling the next morning just from blacking out my room. And I've shared this with some friends who are like, man, like we have all kinds of light in our room, from night lights to clocks, to even keeping doors cracked open. And they're like, as soon as we got rid of all that and just blacked out our room, everything got so much easier. So that's number one, is blacking out your room. Number two is to keep it cold. And there has been countless studies on this. You sleep better when you're cold. That doesn't mean you got to be freezing. You want to get under covers and warm yourself up. But having just an overall cold room, and when I say cold, I'm talking 70 degrees. That actually has been proven is kind of the perfect overall temperature for sleeping, is right at 70. Now, some of us, depending on our bodies and just our overall kind of temperature, some of us are a little bit warmer than others. I like it a little bit colder. To me, it's like more like 68. But with my wife, she's more like, I want it closer to 70, 71. So we meet in the middle at 70. And that is, if you look at studies, they say that's kind of the ideal temperature. So if you're sleeping at 76 and you're having trouble, crank the sucker down. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, but how much is it costing you in life to feel horrible? How much is it costing you in life and in everything you're doing from a day-to-day basis to be sluggish and not have all that energy? People wonder, like, man, how do you get up early with all that energy? Because I sleep well. I spend a lot of time and energy and focus making sure that I get really, really solid sleep. And I don't get it every night. And I can count on my hands the times that I didn't get good sleep in just the past 2 years. And I know exactly why. That's the cool part, is once you start focusing in on this, you'll know exactly why you had bad sleep if that happens, because it will. You'll have times where there's, too much alcohol involved, or you're having a real late night dinner with some friends or people in town, or, something crazy happened right before you went to bed and it just took you a while to get out of your head. That stuff does happen. And sometimes it's hard to prepare for that. But in general, if you just do those things, keep your room incredibly dark, like black it out, like literally try to have zero light and watch what happens. And that means if you have your phone there for alarm, flip the phone over so there's never any light coming off anything in your room. Keep it cold, keep it right there at 70. Lots of pillows is another really, really important one. And then the big one here is invest in a really, really nice bed. As I mentioned, we spend a third of our life in it. Well, we spend a fraction of our life in our cars and our homes, ironically, because most of us spend more time at the office and doing stuff outside, or even our boats, right? We spend a fraction of our life in our boats. And we'll spend all kinds of money, sometimes crazy amounts of money on all that stuff. And yet we go frugal on our bed. And I was getting like the absolute cheapest bed I could. And after I read that book and I listened to Ron talk about how much good sleep had changed his life, I went and did something crazy. I went and got, that was a probably $5,000-$6,000 bed. And I'm telling you, that was a lot of money, because to me, like $800 is like the max I wanted to spend on a mattress. And I'm talking about just the mattress, guys, not the whole frame and everything else, not some intricate, bedding. I'm talking about just the mattress. $5,000-$6,000. Went and got the absolute best one I could. And we've done it again recently. My wife and I went and bought a really nice bed. It's somewhere where I don't think you can spend enough money, whatever you can afford, obviously, but I don't think you can spend enough money. If you do all those things in the bedroom and invest in a nice bed and get expensive, very nice, expensive, super comfortable pillows, multiple. As soon as I went from I used to have just one little pillow there, I went to 3 where I sleep with one, for my head / neck. And then I have one on both sides of me, almost like I'm a cocoon kind of wrapped in these pillows. All this stuff combined was absolutely game changing. And I'm going to talk about a few other things before we get in the head space, because that's going to be the final piece of it. And once you get that, boom, like you're out cold. It's the easiest thing in the world once you get the head part. But all this stuff is stuff you can manage. This is stuff you can go invest in. And the next, probably tomorrow, some of you hopefully already have some of this stuff, but getting your room super dark, cold, get rid of all that light and everything else, lots of pillows, and a really crazy, nice, comfortable bed. And then keep it at 70 degrees. Now, some of the things for your body, in terms of what you're putting in your body, I mentioned it earlier, stay away from the caffeine. I would say basically as soon as 11 a.m. comes around, do not put any caffeine into your body. I drink at least 2 cups of coffee every single day. It's actually an espresso, if you guys know the Nespresso. I do those little espresso shots, if you will. I do 2 of them every single morning. I still love coffee. I mean, it's part of my life. It's probably part of your life. That's completely fine. But usually after 10 a.m., I'm done. I would say 11 would be the absolute cutoff date. There have been times, whether just hungover or whatever it is, the weekend, Nova's got to be up late. I take one of those like 5-hour energies or a Red Bull or something in the afternoon. It is the absolute worst thing I think you can put in your body. No matter how bad you feel, I would say you're better off just dealing with it and then getting some sleep that night. Because to me, otherwise, it's just like someone who's drunk and has a hangover and just keeps drinking every day to avoid the hangover. Because guess what? If you wake up and you have a hangover and you keep drinking, if the hangover kind of goes away, you start just feeling like a buzz again. But at some point, it will catch up to you. So at some point, you have to bite the bullet and just feel bad for a day. No matter how tired you are, I would say suck it up. Don't ever put that stuff in your body. That was one of the biggest mistakes I did. I was a Sam's Club member, like 5-hour energy guy. Like they probably looked at me like, is this guy going to have a heart attack at 30 something years old? I was drinking those 5-hour energies, sometimes 2 a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. No wonder I couldn't sleep. I mean, those things, it's just like putting flat out pure energy into your body. It's impossible for your body to slow down enough to get a great night's sleep or even a fall asleep if you've got caffeine, especially 5-hour energies in your body. It is really, really tough. The other thing is don't eat before you go to bed. I know there's some people that just struggle with that. They eat super late. I think the one beautiful thing about having kids in terms of dinner is you eat early. I mean, we're eating at, usually 6 o'clock on the dot is usually when we're eat. And then, we're done by 6:37 and I'm done. There's no more food going into my body. Might have a little snack right there at dinner. But after that, 0 food goes into my body. And I know a lot of my friends who've told me they've struggled with sleeping. I'm asking them about all this stuff, about their bedroom being dark and in terms of caffeine, they're having, 2 o'clock in the afternoon coffees and then they're having super late night, like 9:30, 10 o'clock, dinners. And that's not good. It's your body now is going to be working overtime, trying to digest it. Your metabolism's kicking in, and it's tough for your body to shut down and slow down to get a good night's sleep. I mean, all the studies have proven that. So don't eat before going to bed. The other part, before we get into the head piece of it, if you will, is just to keep it consistent. So that guy Ron Carson, who I referenced earlier, he said he goes to bed. I think for him it was like 9:30. And that's pretty early. I don't go to bed that early. I'm more like 10-ish. But 9:30 every single night, no matter what. He's like, I don't care if it's my daughter's wedding. And he's taking it like extreme. But he's like, I go to bed. I have to be consistent at 9:30 every single night. He's like, I move my schedule around that. I don't care what's going on. If it is my daughter's wedding, we'll have it at noon and I can hang out with her for 9 hours. But I'm going to bed at 9:30. It's that important to me. Now, me, I'm not that consistent, but I'm 95% consistent. There's times on the weekends where I've stayed up till even recently, midnight, just hanging out with friends who I hadn't seen in a while. But on the weekdays, which are the most important for me to get great sleep so I can be 100% for my employees, for my wife, for my kids, for everybody, it's at usually 10 o'clock. I mean, that is my goal. Is at 10 o'clock, I am in bed. I'm wrapped in those covers. I've got those big comfortable pillows wrapped around me like a cocoon. And then I start this next phase, which is the head part of it. So number one is I pray. And that's not something I used to do all the time. I used to skip it, but praying every single night right there, either right before you get in bed or in bed. I usually do it in bed with Lauren. And we just pray. We just pray stuff we're thankful for that day, for stuff going on in our lives, things that we're praying for in the future, for people that we're praying for, concerned about, and just talking to God and even asking Him, God, let me just get some amazing sleep tonight. Ask and you shall receive. I also just get rid of any negative thoughts that keeps up a lot of people. It used to keep me up a lot of, people that had done me wrong or something I was angry about. Easier said than done sometimes, I know, but just trying to get rid of those thoughts as best you can. I also used to try to dream about something. I'd try to get an idea in my head and then I'd start hopping from idea to idea, and I felt like that was a bad idea. So I basically just try to clear my mind. You can do it through meditation, through slow breathing, etc. And really, that's the last final tip. So for those of you that have heard my anxiety podcast, where I talk about one of the biggest things I did to get rid of anxiety attacks once and for all after struggling for about 14 years was the breathing. And I'm talking about the breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth. So it's a couple seconds, just depending on your lung capacity, but usually 2 to 4 or 5 seconds in slow through the nose. So you're breathing in through the nose, inhaling through the nose, and then out with the mouth. And you do that over and over again a few times, it starts relaxing your entire body. Everything starts slowing down. Your breathing slows down. So your body slows down, your brain slowing down, your heart slowing down. Everything in your body starts slowing down when you breathe like that. And if I do all of those other things and then do that breathing, even if I've had a crazy day or I'm completely wired from something that just happened, or I'm angry about the kids or something that had just happened, if I do that breathing, it's about 90-95% of the time I am out before I even know what's going on. I try to think about man, how did I fall asleep after 2 breaths? It happens that quick. Now it doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to be able to do this tonight. I can pretty much guarantee it. But just like anything that you want to get good at, you practice. I mean, do it for a couple weeks. Do it for a month. They say 21 days or so to start a real habit and get good at something. Do it every day for 21 days and watch what happens. That slow breathing in a dark room with the perfect temperature, with no light coming in, lots of pillows in a super comfortable bed, no caffeine, no 5-hour energies or any of that stuff after 10 or 11 o'clock, and not eating before you go to bed, doing a little prayer, and then getting rid of any of those negative thoughts in your head. And that simple breathing, let's just say 4 seconds, in through the nose, and then release it out through the mouth. You do that over and over again, and you will fall asleep, and you will have one of the best sleeps ever. And that's also, of course, assuming you didn't pound a ton of water or alcohol before you go to bed. And not so much for the brain activity side of things, the sleeping, just you all of a sudden have to keep waking up and going to the bathroom. That's not very helpful. So I've also tried to eliminate that. I will say, too, one kind of really slick trick to sleep, not a sick trick, is the melatonin gummies. That was something that my wife started using. And the couple times that I had some issues sleeping, just going to bed quickly, I would have one of those melatonin gummies. You can get them at Publix or Amazon or anywhere. And I believe they're either 2 or 3 milligrams. There's a couple different sizes. That's all you need. Even just one of them. It says 2 to the maximum. But I felt like if I took 2, because I played around with it, I did feel a little bit kind of drowsy the next day, almost kind of like that NyQuil feeling. Whereas I just took one of those gummies, those melatonin gummies, I fell asleep even quicker, like sometimes almost like too quick, like head hits the pillow quick. And I had just a really good restful night and still felt great in the next morning where I wanted to go up and just like seize the day. So I would highly recommend trying it. I mean, from all the studies I've seen, it's not damaging. I know, there probably are some people that would say, hey, don't get addicted to it. Don't feel like you have to have it. But at the same point, I don't think there's anything that could long-term hurt you in terms of, once again, moderation, right? Don't be taking 15 of them. That is a serious issue, but just take one little melatonin gummy when you need it. I think that is a great way to at least just get used to a quick and very good sleep. The other one is white noise. That was something that we kind of discovered through kids. I think a lot of parents probably do, is having that white noise there. I mean, there's a reason it works for kids. Guess what? It works for adults as well. And now it's almost tough for me to sleep without a little white noise. I don't crank it up to the point where it's blaring and hurting your ears, but just having that subtle white noise, and that it's still where the point if someone broke in your house, you're going to hear them, but you're not hearing every little small thing like a squirrel outside your window or anything else, or a water dripping that might keep you up at nighttime. So I think if you can eliminate, all the extra just small little sounds that might just startle you and wake you up, if you can eliminate all the light in your room and be consistent, and then practice that breathing. I mean, the head part is the most important, right? We all know that. It's the same as my anxiety attacks, right? I could talk all day long and I could read every book about, hey, if you just change your diet and all these things you do to get rid of anxiety, none of it works until you fix your head. And it's the same with sleeping. So much of it, it's in our head, and we almost get like anxious about falling asleep. And I know because I was there. I mean, I had nights where like I would get anxious before because I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. And now it's the complete opposite now. And it took time, but now I'm to the point where it's like, I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm just 100% confident it is going to be an amazing, amazing sleep. So I hope this is helpful to you. If you have any questions, I'm certain I missed some stuff. I think it's so important for us to live the life that God wants us to live. I think it's so important for us just to have that energy for everything we do in life, regardless if it's a occupation or if it's just family or friends. There's people counting on us. There's people that we're going to be around that are counting on us. There's just the mere joy of having energy and having strength and feeling good. There is just nothing like it. And of course, just with a good night's sleep, I mean, it helps prevent a lot of other things in life on the health side of things. So hope this is helpful. Please do go to saltstrong.com/unchurched. That's where I list all of the past episodes, and there's an area there to leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear any thoughts you've had on this or anything else that's helped you, or is some kind of learning lesson you've had with getting sleep. I would love to hear it because I'm constantly trying to get better. Even though right now I am personally setting records for getting to bed super fast because of all of those things I have described. Just trying to build like the perfect sanctuary in my house for me to get sleep. And I'm telling you, those simple things, even if you can't afford the really nice bed, you should like save up for it, seriously. But just getting the thing pitch dark, getting it 70 degrees, and getting a little bit of white noise, and even just some pillows, which are a whole lot cheaper than buying a $5,000 mattress. Even a $2,000 mattress is game changing if you're sleeping on a $500 one. So just upgrade whatever you have. It will make a massive, massive difference. Get rid of all the caffeine. Get rid of all the Fiber Energies and Red Bulls and all these monsters and all that crap that people are putting in their bodies these days, especially if it's after 10 or 11 in the morning. That is an absolute just sleep killer. And just even if I know you're dying and you have to have it, suck it up for a day or two, just like you would a hangover, and just get over it. I'm telling you, it'd be the best thing you ever did. Because I know, once again, I was the guy at Sam's who was buying the freaking biggest family pack of Fiber Energy you've ever seen. And I was so glad to never have to buy that stuff again. It's horrible for you. And it's a horrible thing to put in your body, especially in the late afternoon. I'm fine with if you want to have one for breakfast, go for it. But after 10 o'clock, don't touch those things. And try out those little melatonin gummies. That's a great way please go small. Start with just one. Don't even do the recommended 2. Just start with 1. See what it does to your body, and then practice that breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Guys, I'm out of here. I hope this was helpful. I will talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was past